Oh, we're live.
Ooh.
Hi, good evening, and it's Monday.
It is finally Monday. I feel like this week took so long to get around to Monday. I'm so used to doing 2 talks a week.
Yeah,
I was like, ooh.
It has been a little bit. Hi, everybody. We are welcome to Sam Jose. I am Sam, and this is
Jose.
And tonight for Wine Talk, we're quickly, in just a moment, we're going to go over the wine that we're enjoying. If you're going to be join us with an adult beverage or water. We don't care. Just join us. Let us know what you're drinking this evening as you join us, and give us a shout out, and we'll give you a shout out too. So it is a pleasure to have you with us tonight. So let's get into the wine, because that is one of the most important parts of this show is the wine. Wouldn't you say so, Jose?
Wine is always important.
Wine is important. It is very enjoyable. We went all the way to Aldi for this impressive wine. I don't know if impressive is the word, but it's Hahn Cabernet Sauvignon, California, 2018. And this is one of those Aldi exclusive wines, but you can go to hahnwines.com. And it was produced and bottled by the Hahn estate. But I'm pretty sure that this is one that is exclusive to the Aldi brand as far as their stores. It is a nice red wine. It's got a nice ruby color, if you can see, but you can't. But it is really nice.
We're kind of see it.
As far as Cabernet Sauvignons go, this one is very mild. It is just an average Cabernet to me. And we did pour this one through an aerator, so it did open up a little bit for us. On the notes on this one, what do you pick up on this one, Jose? I've got definitely some black cherry. I would say dark cherry notes on the nose.
Definitely berries. But I don't know about specific.
I get the cherry notes, almost like a, like a cherry flavor. You got a little bit of oak on the finish. Ooh. I'm getting a little spice there on the finish. Not too much, but it is a very light body. Medium to light.
It's light for me.
Yeah. So Hahn Family Wines, Cabernet Sauvignon, this one we bought at Aldi. So that is the wine for tonight. We're drinking it. If you're drinking something, Kim is also drinking a Aldi wine, Winking Al Pinot Grigio. How is that one, Kim? You'll have to let us know. I'm not a huge white wine fan. But if you enjoy them, let us know what it is in the comments. Go ahead and give us a shout out as to what it is about that Pinot Grigio that you enjoy and what maybe you don't enjoy. And if we have time, we'll come back and revisit that. But tonight, we are really excited because we just love telling stories about travel. And tonight, we've got a handful of good ones for you. Jose's really excited. He's got a handful of good ones. I might just tell one. Mine's a little bit of a longer story. So
no, it's always 2 or 3 stories. You can't just say one and make it a really long one.
Well, it might be. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. We will see where tonight goes.
The only one that can actually take just one episode is our proposal.
Okay.
And that would be like a whole entire long thing, because that did take a lot of planning and a lot of on your end, because I didn't do anything.
It was a lot of planning on my end.
I was there for the trip.
Yeah. So let's dive into our stories tonight. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome. We are diving into some vacation stories from our travels. Some of these are pretty exciting and fun. They all are, hopefully. So, Jose, why don't you get us started?
Why are we starting the stories?
Because I talked about the wine.
All right.
You've got to alternate, or else they get a little, bored with me.
I don't think people get bored of you, Sam. So anyway, I'm going to start out with our trip over to Europe. I think, let's see. Yeah, all of my stories are actually from that trip because I just have so many stories from that trip that literally everything that we did was a story, because I've never been there. So people ask me, they're like, tell me about the trip. And I'm like, it's going to take me a whole entire week to let you know everything that happened. But one of the first stories that I'm going to let you guys know is of us getting over to flying over there. And I've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower. And I was like, Sam, are we going to get to see the Eiffel Tower? And he's like, probably from the airport, but it's going to be like this big. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, how long is our layover?
I had a layover over in Paris before, so I had seen it from the airport. I've never seen the Eiffel Tower in person other than from a really far distance.
Also, I have pictures for you guys today. My end of the stories have pictures. Sam didn't have any pictures for today.
I didn't prepare. So, I'm sorry.
But I was so excited because we were just flying, because we flew from here to JFK, just New York, and then New York to Paris, and then Paris to Barcelona.
It was a long day.
So when we were about to land into Paris, my eyes were like fixated on finding the Eiffel Tower. I was like, I don't care. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm going to find this. And luckily, if you guys look on this next picture I'm about to post up, if you look right at the center of the picture, you're going to see the Eiffel Tower. Keep in mind, we're really high up and coming down, but just keep that in mind. But if you guys look right there, you can see the Eiffel Tower, and that was me being zoomed in with my camera. But it's still a really cool shot because we actually got to see it, and it was really, really fun because I've always wanted to see that. So that's the story of us seeing the Eiffel Tower, which I thought it was pretty neat. I want to see it in person.
We hope to get back and see it more in person, larger, and maybe spend more time in Paris at some point. So that is on our bucket list. As you know, we've discussed that. So we've got some more people have joined us, so welcome. My story, I'm going to get into something that I think is important to just notate. You can plan and plan and plan for a vacation or a trip, and there may still be stuff that you overlook or you just assume or you think. And a good example of this is several years ago, I went to Peru, and we did an incredible trip, lots of planning, mostly done by my great friend Allison. But we went into Lima, spent several days in Lima, Peru. We went to Cusco to acclimate, spent a few days there, did a couple of hikes, and then we did a 4-day Inca trail hike into Machu Picchu on the last day. Well, there was a lot of intricate planning with all of this, and the hike itself, the company we went with was really great. But Allison and I, in talking, we had planned that on our day for Machu Picchu, we were basically going to just try and grab a hotel, any hotel in Cusco, if we needed one. If not, we were just going to go to the airport and wait for our flight. Our flight departed at like 6 or 7 in the morning, but we didn't realize the airport didn't open till 5. And we also didn't realize that there was something busy going on in Cusco and there were no hotel rooms. So we, with all the intricate planning, we just didn't plan as thorough as we should have. But so basically at the end of this 4-day Inca hike, so we didn't sleep very well. The hike was amazing, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. The down in Peru, the Amazon within the Peruvian mountains down there in the Andes is just gorgeous. And some of the stunning, spectacular views were totally worth it. And Machu Picchu, we hiked down into it on the last day instead of hiking up to it or taking the bus up. But anyways, so we were just exhausted. It was tiring. We hadn't slept very good because we were sleeping on hard surfaces and sleeping bags. And then we had to wake up really early on that last day to get into Machu Picchu for the sunrise, which was really beautiful. But we went down and we ended up having to catch the train back to Cusco. And we got back to Cusco pretty late. It was like 9 or 10. And we tried to find a hotel room. We couldn't. Our friends, we did have some friends that stated, hey, you can come and just shower in ours, rinse off or whatever, and stay until you can get to the airport. We went back to the hotel we had stayed at when we were there. And we ended up just changing in the lobby, waiting there for several hours, kind of napping. And then we caught a cab to the airport as soon as it opened at 5, and we just waited for a couple of hours until our flight left. But it was a rough, everything was so intricately planned except this last little bit, but it kind of made for an interesting, fun story and something just to think of is those last little bits, because sometimes you get really excited planning everything that you don't get all those little side things. But anyways,
sure. So
that was fun. Anyway.
All right, so my next story, there's 4 pictures for this one, so that should be exciting. We went on our cruise, we went to Pompeii, and I didn't know if it was me not realizing or me just not remembering that Pompeii had a huge volcano right next to it called Mount Vesuvius. which is actually one of the world's most dangerous volcanoes because it's still active and it can erupt at any moment apparently. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, Mount Vesuvius and this. And I'm like, wait, we're going to go see this city that is still right next to an active volcano.
Yeah.
And he's like, yep. So if you guys are not familiar with it, this was the picture of just on the bus driving up to Pompeii. And this was the first time that we actually got to see the volcano itself. It's the bigger one of the hills there. So that's an active volcano. It's just kind of dormant at the moment. The next one is when we were actually walking in, and you can see it up to the left over there. That's our tour guide right in front of us. If you wondering who the guy with the scarf is and head bang covering his head, he was actually pretty smart because it was a really hot day because it was warm.
It was, yeah.
Even for me being from Puerto Rico and then coming here to Orlando and dealing with the humidity, it was still really, really hot. And then this was just a picture of inside Pompeii. I think this was just one of the meeting areas, and
it's the main forum area, the main area, market area. You've got the main temples right off of that. So it's the main area in the center of the city. Now, Pompeii is a very vast area and marketplace, just city. It was a very large city right there on the water, in fact. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit inland now. Now, we went, it was the port for Naples that we went into Pompeii. And I've been into Pompeii a few times. And one time, my friend and I, we went in on the train and we went in through the back entrance, which was really cool because we had a little bit more time to walk around within it. But Pompeii is beautiful. It is. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's one of those places that you visit and you just imagine it's beautiful now, and you just imagine what it was like back when they were all there and living, and it was all the sounds and noises and people walking and the paintings, the colors and everything, because there's still some left on the walls and all that stuff, so you can see how vibrant it was. And I would love to go travel back in time. If you ask me if you could travel back in time, and where would you go? Pompeii, just to see how great it was.
A little bit before the volcano eruption, not for it. We don't want to.
Well, I mean, if it's like the ride at Animal Kingdom, like Dinosaur, where they're not gonna make it,
and then you make it,
and then I make it. It's fine.
I don't know if I want to risk that.
But anyways, back to my story. This last picture was actually on a cruise ship. We were actually going to be heading out to our next port, but while we were all dressed up and looking nice for our dinner, we actually ran into an officer that works for the cruise line, and he does housekeeping. Mm-hmm. And he was just admiring the view, and I was like, oh, have you been to Vesuvius and Pompeii and whatever? And he's like, no, this is the first time that I actually got to see this myself after working for Royal Caribbean for over 20 years. This is the first time that I'm actually seeing this. And it clicked to me that I was like, I literally just paid to come see this, and you've been working all this time, and this is the first time you see it. So I was really happy to share that moment with him and to talk about some different stories that he's had while he's worked there. And he told us stories about him working at the cruise lines, and we told him stories about us going to Pompeii and everything. And he's like, I need to go over there. So he made it a goal to go see Pompeii. We don't know if he actually got to see Pompeii because we didn't exchange any contact information, but I hope that he did, because it was just a really great trip to take over there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Italy's, and Naples, gorgeous. There's it's a much older city, and it's just interesting city. It's an older city, but I worked on Disney Cruise Line for a while, so I got some chances to go in there. Another city that's really incredible, if you get a chance in the same area, is called Herculaneum. And when Vesuvius erupted, some of the all the ash and the heat and everything went down over Pompeii, but all of the mudslides and that other stuff, it went and buried Herculaneum on the other side of the mountain.
It was Herculaneum, There were 3 other settlements and then a few others that were around that area as well. And right now it's one of the most dangerous because there's 3 million people that live surrounding that volcano. So that's why it's so dangerous, because there's so many people that live there. And I don't even know, like, I know that they have readers and things that they can detect when there's like motion and they can detect all that activity, but I don't think they can get all those people out.
It's one of the most heavily monitored volcanoes in the world, just for safety reasons. So if they, I don't know, we'll see. Yep.
See what happens.
But yeah, Herculaneum was interesting because only about a quarter of that has been excavated, and the other 3/4 of the city are under Herculaneum. The other 3/4 are underneath like apartment buildings and whatnot. They're just under the ground. So they've tunneled in and they've gotten to certain areas of those. But Herculaneum was an incredible site. And the very impressive thing that I liked about Herculaneum was everything was preserved differently because of how the city was destroyed. And Herculaneum was covered in a way that the wood burned after it was buried. So the ash, the charcoal, was actually preserved. So when they went in and they excavated Herculaneum, you can see the intricate carved doors and whatnot in certain areas that are preserved as charcoal. And that was really kind of incredible to me. It was fun to see. So if you get to go to Naples and you can go to both of those sites, it's 2 different views into the Roman history there and all that other great stuff. So really enjoyable.
Yeah. Do you have the other story?
That was it, Herculaneum.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess wow. In there. You didn't say anything, Sam.
I just flowed into the story.
But anyways, and I guess I'll go to my other story. So one of the other things as you're cruising and traveling and all that stuff, if you actually book a tour on one of these like tour groups that you book, most of the time you're going to have to get on a bus and travel to different areas. And most of them they're not really close by. They're probably an hour depending on where you're going and all this stuff. So be prepared for those bus drives.
And there's probably multiple stops too.
Yeah. Because, people need to use restrooms, they gotta buy something to eat, drink, whatever. So once you get on the bus, you start heading and they say, hey, we're gonna stop for 10, 15 minutes. Be sure to be back at this time because we're gonna leave and we're not gonna wait. Please listen to that and make sure that you get back on that bus. If they say 15 minutes, make sure that you're there 12 minutes. That's your time. Because once you get back on that bus, a lot of people are going to be upset and they're going to make fun of you. So this was one of our pictures of us on the bus, ready to go. We're actually waiting on somebody to come back. I believe this was actually in...
We're going into Florence.
Yeah, this was in Florence.
We stopped at a store that sold leather, and it was all Italian leather stuff. And the lady that was on the bus, she got off, man.
This was also the lady that was friends with the lady that got off because it was a 2.5-hour bus ride.
2.5-hour bus ride. And she was like, let me off the bus. And we were like, but you read the information on the excursion and it said it was a 2-hour bus ride. So this is nothing new.
So this was the friend that stayed on the bus.
Yeah.
And she was late for 2 stops.
And not by just a little bit. It was like 15 to 25 minutes at both of the stops. And our guide had to get off the bus and go look for her. And what really kind of sucked about it was it took up about 45 minutes of our time in Florence that we could have continued to explore the city. So that's why Jose was saying you don't want to be that one that is late back to the bus. Pay attention to the time and get back and be early because you don't want to mess up other people's time, especially if there's other stuff to go see and do, right? So, but yeah, it was kind of funny and humorous. And there was a guy that made fun of her really badly when she got back on the bus. He was not happy, and he let her know in a very kind of funny way. We all laughed.
I mean, and you can't get upset at that gentleman because everybody pays a good amount of money to be able to go enjoy these. And
it was the second time she was late.
And it was the second time. So
after the tour guide,
of course, the tour guide will let you know, hey, make sure that you're here on time, blah, blah, blah. We are on a tight schedule. And if you kind of go, okay, whatever, then it's going to be the other people that are going to take charge and they're going to make fun of you and they're going to say things that you're probably not going to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I give him every single right because we would get paid to be there for 3-4 hours, 5 hours, and now you're cutting into that time. So and it did affect it a little bit, but
yeah,
she learned her lesson after that.
Yeah,
one,
she did
because she was the first one on the bus after that.
Yeah, she was. Well,
So-
that pretty much concludes tonight's episode. Thank you for joining us to our travel stories. Hopefully next week we've got some new ideas for you. Tonight we were drinking this Cabernet Sauvignon from California, a nice Aldi wine. I think it's an Aldi exclusive. Let me see if I can get that so the light doesn't hit it too bad. But it's a Hahn Cabernet Sauvignon from California, 2018 vintage. And this is from the Hahn Family Wineries, Hahn Estate in California. So it is pretty good. It's a medium-bodied wine. I don't know if I could have more than maybe 2 glasses of this in a sitting. It's a little bland for me, to be honest.
It's getting a little drier as it opens up, but
It doesn't really have a very high tannin profile. It's
it's a wine.
yeah, it's a
You'll drink
it's
it.
an easy
but
drinking cab. So, but there you go. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sam,
And I'm Jose.
and we are welcome to San Jose. Thank you so much for joining us for Wine Talk. We'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Have a good
Bye,
one.
guys.
Bye.
See you later.